Welcome to episode 552 of the Aussie Tech Heads, recorded on the 21st of September 2017. Aussie Tech Heads is brought to you by ATH Web Hosting at athwebhosting.com.au. Servers operate on SSD drives. There's immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration, easy install, WordPress, Joomla and Drupal. I'm your host, Jason Oakley. We have back again Australia's two top podcasters. I'm joined this week by Will Tompkinson. That's him over there. Yay!
Not if you listen to YouTube, we're not. We're like the worst people ever.
You guys suck, you know.
How dare you not? How dare you make something informative and
useful
and not bow to our wishes?
We want to hear about the iPhone. It's as good as a Galaxy S6. Finally.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just take the X6 from 3 years ago. You've got the new iPhone.
Did you see that image going around comparing the features?
The problem is it's true. It's not a new thing. It's once again Apple marketing strikes again.
It's the iPhone. You've got to have
but I know people who are pre-ordering it.
Yep. I don't know anyone.
But
I bet they will.
Yeah, they've been. I got people. It's funny actually. One of my friends swears Black and Blue is not a fanboy. He's not a Mac fanboy. He just owns every product, at least two of.
That Apple make.
But he's not a fanboy.
No. No. Don't be crazy.
Like, no, okay. If you say so. Fanboy.
Speaking of fans, you were saying something about that huge monstrosity sitting next to you. Can we have a look?
Oh. Yeah, my server rack I just put in.
Nice.
It's a full whatever they call them, 49 bay or whatever the full size.
Yep.
Full size one is.
RUs.
Yeah, I think it's bigger than that. It's 46 or 48. It's literally like that far off the ceiling.
Nice.
That'll
keep your roof nice and warm.
Yeah. Well, I was actually just saying it. I'm currently in a room that's only got a laptop in it. I'm sweating, so.
You might need to spray it with some Kevlar or asbestos just above it so that when it heats up...
It doesn't set on fire. Well, I know I need to put...
Do you have any spare asbestos?
Yes, actually.
Oh, there you go.
A couple of sheets of asbestos... was it not plasterboard before? Fiberboard.
Yep. Out
in the shed there, from the old shed. Yeah.
I got this lovely sign inside my fuse box that says, "Warning, asbestos."
Well, this house doesn't have it. Our shed does, because the house that we've bought and we've moved into. I don't know if we've mentioned that, but I bought a house and I'm here now. The original block was in the 50s, and the original house was obviously built about then. The house at some point has been burnt down or got knocked down or whatever. This house has been redesigned late 90s or late 80s, late 70s, early 80s,
cool.
Judging by the design of it.
Yep.
But the shed out the back, there's a new shed, but the old shed that's out the back is the original shed. You can tell by the design of it, and it's still got the old lead paint. It's still got the old asbestos tiles and asbestos stuff.
It's good for you back in there.
Everyone's worried about asbestos. What they don't realise is only the asbestos dust that's a problem. So if something's made of asbestos and it's covered in paint, leave it alone.
Yep. Back in my
and
day,
it's
we used to have
fine.
asbestos for breakfast with a side of cornflakes and a cup of cement.
Yeah, pretty much. It's asbestos won't hurt you if you don't touch it. Just leave it. It's fine. It's not going to worry you. You can ingest it. It's perfectly healthy. It won't hurt you. Well, I didn't say it's healthy, but it won't hurt you to ingest. Just don't breathe in it. But even then, statistically, it's such a minor chance of, it's like anything. You get any particle of any silicon substrate, whether it be sand or anything, you get that in your lungs aren't going to be happy no matter what it is. It's such a small percentage of asbestos.
Lenny Henry had this comedy as they used to be breathing down asbestos when they were young, and he said it didn't do him any harm except for now he can drink hot water straight from the kettle, no problem.
Right.
And he said, and my friend Tony, he died and they decided to cremate him. And it took a week. He's like, is he still burning? Oh, man, we could have done with him during the coal strike.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff gets very rarely blown out of proportion. Yeah. Although it's funny, I've got in the new shed, there's a toilet and shower and stuff in there.
Oh,
It's basically got a granny flat attached to one end of it. Then you got a big shed. Then the other end's got a 20-foot container.
well, that'd be
But in
good
the
when
granny
you're
flat
working on the
part,
car and you want to clean up.
yeah, well, that's it. Where the granny flat is with the little kitchenette and stuff. The sheets of fibro that are there, which are the new sheets, they're not the old ones. They're the new safe sheets. And on the back of that, big warning: caution, inhaling dust from this will kill you.
Yep.
That's literally what it says. It doesn't say may be harmful or might be hazardous. It literally says inhaling dust will kill you. Like, thanks for inspiring me with confidence. There's no chance. As soon as you inhale this dust, that's it. You're done.
That's it. You're dead, Jim. I hope you got your will
dear.
written up. Will.
So that reminds me.
Maybe one day.
I probably should get around to that.
I got the what do they call it? Like the state.
The home kit thing.
Will. No, just go down to the state government ones and they'll do it for you.
No. But the part that trips me up is you've got to stay here of sound mind and body. Like
I'm neither of those.
I know. How do I convincingly lie through that part of it?
Son doesn't care. She just wants the stuff. As long as she gets it, that's all that matters. So we talk about some new stuff. Maybe start with that evil thing that people were complaining about.
The government.
So the Galaxy S6 phone X.
The 2018 release of the Galaxy X6. Yeah. I'll let you cover that because you're more familiar with Apple products than I am.
What I found a nice comparison between the iPhone 8 Plus versus the iPhone X, which is the iPhone 10 apparently. The iPhone 10 has some pretty stiff sibling rivalry from the iPhone 8 Plus. If you don't obsess about edge-to-edge OLED displays and Face ID, the Plus is probably a better deal. Better because there's a key commonality between the iPhone X and the iPhone 8 Plus, but you'll pay a lot less for the Plus and probably have a lot less trouble getting one. The 4.7-inch iPhone 8 also matches the iPhone X on the specs below, though the 8 has a smaller screen. The camera is different compared to the 5.5-inch iPhone 8 Plus. Processors, the same. This makes the iPhone 8 the X's equal when it comes to processing oomph, a critical spec, if not the most critical. The A11 Bionic processor comes with a neural engine and embedded M11 motion coprocessor, and the new Apple-designed 3-core GPU is up to 30% faster than the prior A10 GPU. Wireless charging is the same. The wireless charging that works with industry standard Qi chargers. The glass back allows you to set the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus down on a mat to charge it up. And there are third-party charging solutions starting to pop up. And if it works with the industry standard, you could probably get a cheap one from eBay.
That would have to be the first time I've done anything that works to industry standard.
Right? They didn't even know what's the definition of industry standard. Oh, proprietary. I know.
USB.
Glass front and back the same. And speaking of glass, Apple is claiming the most durable glass ever in a smartphone in all the new phones.
Don't they say that every time a new phone's released? Not just Apple, but everyone in general. This is the new version of Gorilla Glass.
Gorilla Glass.
Gorilla Glass. It tastes much better than the last one.
You get more milk out of it. Splash water and dust resistant. The same.
Cow water, thank you.
Cow water. That was interesting. Rated IP67 under IEC standard 60529 on all phones. The IP67 rating means the phones are protected from dust and can be even asbestos and fiberglass dust. It can be submerged in about 3.3 feet of static water for up to 30 minutes.
Stagnant water?
Stagnant water.
So if you put it in fresh water, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Video recording the same. 4K video recording at 24 frames a second, 30 frames a second, or 60 frames a second. 1080p HD video recording at 30 or 60. 720 HD recording at 30. Optical image stabilization. What's not the same? Primary rear cameras are similar but not identical.
Different camels? Good
camels, yeah. The iPhone X, which is 10, and the iPhone 8 Plus have rear cameras that are similar in many respects but have some subtle differences, which probably won't impact the average user, but be important to photo buffs. The most important thing is that they both have 12 megapixel wide-angle telephoto cameras, both have optical zoom. But while the iPhone 8 Plus and iPhone X both have wide-angle f1.8 apertures, the iPhone 8 Plus has a telephoto 2.8 aperture compared to the iPhone X's telephoto f2.4 aperture, which is better in low light conditions than the iPhone 8 Plus. The iPhone X also has dual optical image stabilization. The 8 Plus has optical image stabilization only on the wide angle. Both have a wider color gamut, less noise, better in lower light, and have improved portrait mode. iPhone X, yes, it's different. The iPhone X is obviously going to be the only choice for lots of buyers because of its novel all-screen OLED display, except for that notch at the top that leaves a couple of rabbit ears either side. And OLED screen, front true depth camera, and Face ID unlocking, and no home button. I think I'd be much happier with my fingerprint reader than face unlocking.
Well, even the fingerprint reader isn't like it plays up even on the odd occasion, you know.
Yep.
Look,
especially after I've washed the dishes and my fingers all wrinkly and stuff,
Yeah.
and you try, damn
well,
thing
you've
won't
got,
read.
you know,
Unlock.
you've actually been, you know, actually working, not in an office,
Yes.
you know, somewhere where you actually get dirt on your hands.
Yep.
Which is why I have a pin and fingerprint, because 90% of the time at work, my fingerprint doesn't work.
Yep.
Okay. A couple of reasons. We didn't address this last week because we have a Mac show on this channel, and it's kind of their job to do this sort of thing.
And they'll go into great depth, which would be more interesting. We'll just brush over the top, which is like we've done today.
Yeah, because that's their domain. That's what they do.
And we would like you to subscribe to the other shows.
And yeah, subscribe and at least listen to it. Especially if you're into Mac products, which we're not.
Nobody knows better about Mac stuff than Michael does.
Yeah, that's it. And
he knows way more than us.
One, they'll do a better job of it. Two, it's what they do, and they're going to be more in depth and detailed. And we also, when there's a major event like that, there's no point us covering it and them covering it, because if you only listen to this show, we're stealing their thunder, and well, that's kind of their domain. And
plus, also, we've given it a week for the dust to settle and people to find out what are the best features. More places got reviews.
Like that article you just said,
about it.
And other things such as this facial recognition bringing up massive security concerns.
Yeah.
We already know that thanks to fingerprint scanning, basically now everybody has, you know, all the governments basically have a copy of our fingerprint.
Yeah.
But this facial recognition thing.
Well, it's technically supposed to get key points of your face and then create a key signature from that you can't reverse into an actual face.
Well, yeah, but it's not only that. It's like a facial recognition's algorithm. If somebody figures out how to copy that algorithm, they can then use that to actually find the matching face. So if somebody wants to target somebody and they've got the algorithm already presented to them, they can then create it.
There have been news reports, if you have a bit of a Google around, about people who've been mistaken for somebody who looks mostly like them, but it's actually a completely different person. And the facial recognition said, this is it. The guy's been taken to court or to jail or something. And then they later go, whoops, I can't trust that facial recognition.
That's it. And the other thing I was going to say is you're also going to have issues in a lot of real world situations. If it's dark, you know, or poor lighting, or even if it's too bright, if you're in the middle, you know, if you say you do the scan when you're at home in your lounge room, well, that's one thing. But if you then walk outside and you're facing the sun, well, it may not pick up the points. Or if it's dark and quite in a fairly darkened room, it's not going to pick up the points properly.
Well, one of the things I heard was it's supposed to be the only way you can unlock it, isn't it, with the face now? And it can only take one person's face.
That's what I've
heard.
So
if you give the phone to your son, go, here, play a game, and somehow it locks it, then he has to give it back to you, then you unlock it, then give it back to him, and then, or if you're in an accident or something and somebody pulls up and they're like, oh, hey, we need to,
use your phone,
call your family or something, you go, can you just put your nose back on your face, hold it there, we try and unlock it because you've been in a car crash or something.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like it doesn't, from what I understand, it doesn't have the fingerprint scanner, and it doesn't have normal PIN. Yep. So in any situation that for whatever reason the face scan doesn't work, does it just have a fallback that goes to something else? Or, you know, obviously without having one to test, we don't know. But I see that as being a big problem in a lot of situations, like normal day-to-day situations. Even like, for example, you've got your phone in the car. 95% of the time, my phone stays unlocked because it's connected to the head deck. It knows it's in the car, so it stays unlocked. But on that odd occasion that it does actually lock, I can just reach over to it, stick my thumb on it, and it reads my thumb and unlocks the phone, and it continues to work the way it's supposed to work.
Yep.
But if you've got your phone, and that's sitting in the console just down beside me, so I can just reach down, don't even have to look at it. I just know where it is.
Yep.
If you've got facial recognition, the same sort of thing happens, and you need to unlock your phone. Well, what do you pick your phone up, hold it in front of your face?
Well, here's the other thing that people have been saying. Let's say that you're in America, wonderful place, and Mister Blue and red light pulls you over, and he's like, I need to check something on your phone to make sure you've not been naughty. You go, haha, I'm not going to give you the pin, and he holds it up to your face and goes, don't worry, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can go, oh, look what you've been doing.
Which they actually can't do legally anyway, but that doesn't stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and the other opposite of that is if the same thing, a copper approaches the situation and, because at the moment in most phones you can have an ice contact in case of emergency contact. Don't know if they're still going to have that in the iPhone that'll bypass the scanner, but I know on the Android, if you set up in case of emergency contact, even when the phone's locked, you can still ring that contact.
Yep. I've just been reading through an article while you've been talking. Thanks for keep on talking. Trying to find something about entering a PIN. It says the article is called "How to Disable Face ID on the iPhone X." So I'm just trying to find out what that is about.
Yeah, you can disable, but I don't know if they've got a
it says
security feature that you
protected
re-enable.
Against incriminating yourself by giving up a simple password or PIN. On the other hand, created a shortcut for disabling Touch ID. Press the power button 5 times if the cops pull you over, and it'll lock everything up. You have to enter a password or PIN.
You press it 5 times, or one button press on an Android.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Now, not in Australia, the law's slightly different, but I happen to know in California, because I listen to a radio station that's based in California, and they were talking about this the other day.
Yep.
In California, you can use your phone. It's got to be hands-free, but you're allowed to touch your phone to unlock it or to answer calls.
Yep.
That's currently the way the law is written. So how's that going to work? Are you allowed to shove the phone in front of your face to unlock it? And at what distance does this work? Does it work 3 or 4 foot away on the dashboard, or if you got to hold it 6 inches in front of your face?
I think on Leo's podcast they were saying you can have super secure, which means it has to be right there, or for people who have sight problems, you can do slightly less insecure, in which case it'll work from most angles.
I don't know. What's wrong with that? I mean, I really
fingerprint
love
on the back works fine for me. I could just pick up the phone and go unlock.
Well, that
was hard. Look,
yeah,
I actually hit the real target of the fingerprint. I didn't hit the camera. I didn't hit the camera light flash.
Well, on the Note, this is the Note 5, yeah. On the Note 5, the unlock is actually the home button.
Oh, okay.
So you actually just put your thumb on the home button, and it
same as what the old iPhones were.
Yeah.
Yep.
Except the button's slightly bigger, so it gets a fairly accurate. Very rarely does it fail. Actually, it's pretty good. But I love the way the Zoomies, I think it's Zoomy, whatever you want to call them, those Chinese phones. I love the way they work. They've actually got a button like yours is up there where the camera is,
yep.
But theirs is like here where you actually hold the phone.
Further away,
so
yeah.
Basically, it's exactly where you'd stick your finger when you're holding the phone.
That would make sense there, yeah.
Yeah, it's like in the perfect spot.
Xiaomi,
Zoomy, friggin' whatever, Sumi.
You got any stories? We'll get off the app. That's your Apple lot, okay? We've done it. It's done. Go watch the Aussie Mac Zone.
I was just quickly going to say, according to there's a new Apple CEO Tim Cook has just released a statement. I think this was actually earlier today, may have been yesterday, saying that our objective aren't big revenues. Our objective is to make products that enrich people's lives. The iPhone starts at $9.99, but Apple CEO Tim Cook would like everybody to know that's actually not expensive, but a value price product that embodies exactly what consumers have been asking for. Yes, a 3-year-old Android.
For more money. How much can you get a Galaxy S6 for?
Well, actually, we just bought an S5
Yep.
for my mother-in-law to replace the Note 1 that she's been using. Because the S5 actually is the same size screen and everything as the Note 1.
Yep.
We just paid. That was factory refurbished, so it's still got the 2-year warranty and everything on it. I think it was $199.
Yep.
Something like that.
eBay has got the S6 for $319.
So $319, yeah. Well, you can get the factory
or
refurbished
you can pay
ones.
triple that.
Yeah.
Get an iPhone X.
Well, you can get the factory refurbished X6s for about $320 or $330. I think I saw them for.
Yep.
So for $350, even so it's and realistically, it's a better phone. Even things like having removable media. So when you are recording in 4K, you can actually put decent sized memory cards in.
I love widgets. If the iPhone had widgets, I would like it a lot better. But
it would
being
help,
able to put all these widgets on the screen where I want them,
resize
and then
them,
have my favorite icons on the home screen.
Yeah,
really good.
Just simple things, just simple user friendly.
I mean, they have widgets, but you have to pull down from the top of the screen, view the widget window blind, and then push it back up again. I just want it all there. As soon as I turn it on, it's got the time, it's got the weather. You can put processor info, battery info.
You can put you can have set up like you have your bank widget and your usage Gmail and
I got Gmail on there.
Data usage, and
you can have multiple home screens, so you can swipe across, and then I've got the calendar up the top, Gmail down the bottom. Swipe across, I've got the time, date, weather for the next 5 days, all that stuff, and the moon phase. So there's tons of stuff you can put in there. Google Now, it's quite useful for having there.
The first app I put on my phone.
Yep.
It's called Army Knife.
Oh, okay.
It used to be called Swiss Army Knife, but now it's called Army Knife.
Yep.
Because apparently they got in trouble. But it basically has a flashlight, unit converter, timer, stopwatch, compass, level, calculator, magnifying glass, mirror, and ruler.
All the stuff together.
And like things like your ruler, you calibrate for your actual screen size.
Yep.
And it's actually a legit ruler with correct sizing and everything on there.
Oh, is it like a digital ruler? You just hold up the camera and it tells you how far something is away or something?
No, like literally it becomes a ruler.
You put it on the side and measure stuff.
Measurements on there. You can literally use. It's got like mirror, which is basically just a front-facing camera, but you can do things like you turn it flips the camera so it's the right way around, so like you're looking in a mirror.
Yep.
But then you can do things like turn backlight on, which basically it's a bit hard to see, but it shrinks the image.
Yep, and it gives you white for your face.
Yeah, magnifying. And it's funny, magnifying glass, like if you try to zoom in and focus with your camera normally,
you can't.
You can't. But if you use the magnifying glass, it's amazing how close and how focused you can get it.
You can even read resistors and capacitors.
You can. Well, I've done it. I've actually used it for doing that. That's why I predominantly
suggested them.
Yeah, that's actually what I use it for. But yeah, it's a very handy app. It's got everything you need. That's like the first app I put onto any phone I get. It's just makes life so much easier.
That's a free one?
Yeah, it's free too, which is neat.
With ads?
Not that I've ever noticed. Let me have a look. If they are, they're so unobtrusive that I've never even known. No ads.
Nice.
So, and the things like the level and that actually work.
Yep.
Because you can calibrate it all to start with. The level's really neat. It's got bubble level in 3 different dimensions.
Yep.
Timer, stopwatch, compass, all that sort of stuff. Flashlight it sounds weird, but it's the only flashlight app that seems to actually work. I've got a couple other flashlight apps.
Yep.
That seem to work for a couple of minutes and then stop working.
I got mine built into my phone. Comes with it in the OS.
Well, I've got a built-in one too, but it's the worst one.
Is it? Oh,
It literally lasts for like 15 seconds, then turns off.
Mine goes good. I can switch off the screen. I walked from one end of my house through the roof to the other end to put in bird wire into the air vents in there because
Yeah.
I found this nice little area in the top of my roof. I'd been hearing this noise in the roof, so I went up with my phone. I looked down there, and here's these little eggs. Somebody had been flying in and laying eggs in my roof. And
So you had omelets and then you put mesh up.
yeah. Well, I went and got the mesh and then cut them down into the right size, and then I crawled back through the roof again, getting splinters in my bloody hand all the time. And I saw that somebody had actually made the mesh and put it in there, but it somehow, I don't know if the birds knocked it out or something's knocked it out. And so it's landed on the ground. So I went and put some more back up in there. So
Have you ever seen an evicted possum trying to get back into its hole?
is it good?
Oh, they're insane. Well, there was one guy who evicted a possum, then he went and meshed it all up. And then the next night the possum was back in again. He's like, hang on a minute. So then he meshed it up and then he put like 10 mil ply over the front of it.
Yep.
And he heard this bang, bang, and he come out with his camera and he started recording it. And here's this possum just taking like a run up at this hole and just headbutting it for like 20 minutes until it just destroyed the plywood.
It was here yesterday.
It's insane. I couldn't believe it. No.
Destroyed his head with the plywood, or
Well, yeah. One thing I love about the Note, because of the size of it, I can put it in my top pocket.
Yep.
And not on this one, it's just got a hole in the bottom. But I can turn the torch on and put it in my top pocket.
Yep.
And it actually shines perfectly because the torch sits above where your pocket is. So, anyway, other stories, I guess.
Yep, you got one?
Couple of quickly that are semi-related. So, this is sort of twofold. The Labor condemns NBN installation success rate sitting at 90%. Shadow Minister for Regional Communications, Stephen Jones, has hit out claims the National Broadband Network is seeing a 90% success rate in first-time equipment due to installed, saying the figure is not good enough. Can you imagine if my local fish and chip shop was selling hamburgers and one out of 10 of them was creating food poisoning? Do you think that would be okay? The answer is no, Jones told the Australian Communications Consumer Action Network. Wow.
I've never been poisoned by the NBN.
Why should it be any different with an essential service? So basically saying that even though the government's saying, hey, we got 90% success rate on what we do, they're like, well, yeah, that's not really good. And the talks about how they need to improve that and whatever. But then he goes on and what was his name? JB. Oh, I've got it here somewhere. Speaking earlier the day, NBN Chief Strategy Officer JB
David Hasselhoff, yeah.
Defended the company's network, stating that few retail applications need speeds over 50 meg.
Except if you're trying to do something.
The network we're already building today that delivers at least 25 meg to everybody, and 50 meg to most, and up to 100 meg to some, definitely caters for the applications of today.
Yes, because
you're a moron, Hasselhoff.
They're not going to make any new applications tomorrow, are they?
So, on the one hand, there are all these people criticising the NBN's performance, and then the chief strategy officer defends their network by saying, we just rolled out the slowest network in the world. So, congratulations on that.
90% good, slowest network in the world.
Yeah, they can't even successfully be the worst network.
Yeah, 90%.
But I just love the way he states 25% to everybody, 50% to most,
meg.
And 100 meg to some. Like it's like everybody gets entree, some people get the main course, and a few people get dessert. It's it's like
depends on if you've been a good boy or not this year.
Depends on whose electorate you're in, I'm sure of it. But yeah, I just can't believe that it's like, it was a couple of months ago they were saying that no household needs more than 20 meg or something, and now they're saying no business needs more than 50.
But didn't they redefine 256K as broadband anyway?
I don't even think it's that, because I don't think they put a speed on it. I think they just put an infrastructure on it. If your area has existing infrastructure that they class as suitable, they'll call it NBN.
Yeah.
Which is what's happening in places like Evans Head, where it's a couple 100K down.
You got dial up. What are you worried
So
about?
yeah, well, that's the problem. They still have dial up. Well, they have dial up backup because the ADSL goes down so much.
It's
and what's
more reliable.
ironic is none of the service providers call it ADSL 1 anymore.
Yep.
They all call it ADSL 2.
Oh.
Even though it's actually only ADSL 1, but ADSL 1 is not a thing anymore.
Oh, okay. How can you have a 2 without a 1 though? How does that make?
I know. Well, that's what I mean. They just call it ADSL now.
Yeah.
But that's what she got switched to an ADSL 2 plan.
Yeah.
So they could call it ADSL because ADSL 1's not a thing.
Yeah. Then you can charge more. Same speed.
So I don't know what's
profit.
happening, but yeah. So anyway, apparently our NBN's as good as we'd expect it to be.
And don't you go complaining about things.
What and this is the other part that annoys me.
Don't worry, be happy.
They're saying that this Russell guy, Russell a lot. I don't know. He reiterated the NBN's approach to upgrading its technology, stating the company will upgrade it when it sees the demand.
Yep, nobody wants
which it will never see because it doesn't have the capability to see the demand.
As soon I can't see it yet. I can't see it yet.
The officer, this Russell guy, says that through a variety of technologies, NBN is expecting to hit 10 gigabits a second on its hybrid fiber coax.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's fine and dandy, but nobody has hybrid fiber coax.
Australia.
It doesn't matter what they expect it to hit on the technology they don't have. At the best, we get fiber to the premises.
It's a bloody joke.
And most people only get fiber to the node.
Yep, I know that. That's what you got, isn't it?
That's what we've got, fiber to the node. Technically, but the back end doesn't support the speed.
You nearly got 50 meg.
Well, now that we've moved to a newer house with newer copper, my speed went up a little bit. Went from like 10 meg to 15 meg. But in part of the deal, I made Telstra send me out a new modem because I know they've got this new design modem out now. And it went from 15 meg with the old modem to 45 meg with the new one.
Nice.
My upload's no better. My upload's still only 10-ish. But at least my download's gone up a bit. Yeah. And it's stable at that too. It doesn't just peak at
more Linux ISOs then.
Actually, ironically, I have literally been downloading in Linux ISOs a lot lately because I've been about to get my servers up and running. So I've actually got about
Ubuntu.
No, BIOS.
BIOS?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, BIOS was the original. Hey?
BIOS was a different operating system coded from scratch.
BIOS was the original sort of networking.
Yeah.
Security
networking
operating system.
People who did Palm OS originally.
Used to, yeah. They open sourced it when they went broke, but it's.
No,
I'm using that
LG.
for my.
They use the Palm Web OS in LG devices.
Well, I'm using it for my VPN / firewall.
I didn't know they were still working on it. I thought
it's open source now. It's community done. It's pretty good now.
That would be super secure.
Oh, it's tiny as well. The actual installs like.
I used to run this little Linux install called Frisco.
Oh yeah.
And that would be my server / gateway / everything, and plug in my Optus cable modem into that computer, and then that goes into a hub at that stage.
Yeah.
And then all the computers in the house were wired into that, and it did all of the routing, firewall, everything.
Well, that's what I'll be doing with this BIOS. I'll be running it basically a VPN / firewall.
Yep.
And then that'll go that'll plug into the the modem will plug into that, run through that, then that'll plug into the switch.
How many megs is it?
What's that? The
operating system.
Oh, it's tiny. It actually they say you can boot up. You don't even need a hard drive.
Floppy.
It'll boot off a thumb. Boots off a thumb drive.
What's a floppy?
Yeah.
Well, that's
It'll
what
be
I
like a
liked
thumb
about
drive.
Fresco because it was on a floppy disk, and once you've set everything up, you write protect it, and then if
Mm.
anyone hacked into your computer, you just switch it off, switch it back on again, and it comes back up again, and it's exactly how you had it before. So you didn't even have to worry if someone did manage to hack into it.
Well, I think BIOS with um, BIOS 5, I think it is only like 15 meg or something.
Ah,
It's tiny.
I tried
The
it out
company that took it
briefly
over
once.
is actually called Haiku now.
Oh, okay.
Haiku is an open source project based on BIOS, and you
Yep.
can actually, but they've branched it. Like BIOS is still around, and you can still use it, or you can actually use the Haiku fork.
Hmm.
Just depends on what you're trying to do.
Oh, Wikipedia says BIOS is closed source now.
I think BIOS.
They have it
Well,
closed and
no.
an open source version.
Well, like they got. Well, they must have because Haiku is using the code from it.
Ah.
I mean, it's possible they only open sourced one tangent or one part of it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've only going off what I've come across on YouTube. So
Haiku is the free open source version of BIOS, which has been
yeah,
discontinued now, and it's all become Haiku only.
but I'm pretty sure they use the original BIOS code.
Yeah, and branched off from that,
Yeah,
kept developing it.
yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, it's well, I don't know. I'll tell you. I'll click on download now.
Aims to be compatible with BIOS at both the source and binary level. Yeah, how nice.
It is. Let's see. Let's pick in this. What sort of download? I'm trying to find a remotely close server that won't destroy my internet. Italy. There we go. That should be good. Let's just download Let's download the ISO from Italy in a zip file, and it's okay with all the documentation. They're ready to boot the whole lot. It's 200 meg.
Nice.
That's in bootable form.
Yep.
So that's ready to run. Throw the CD in the drive and go, sort of deal.
Yep. Arnet's got it too.
But yes, I'll be running. Well, it's either going to be that, or it's going to be the other VPN, which has completely slipped my mind. What's it called? See if I can quickly find it before we end of the show. PF Sense.
PF Sense. Oh yeah, I've heard of that one too. Yeah.
I potentially will use PF Sense. It just depends on what's going to work with the hardware I've got. I don't know.
Your Apple hardware, you fanboy.
That's the other server that I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with yet. This rack came with two servers. It came with a Compaq. It's a Compaq. It's an Inspiron anyway. What is that, Dell?
Dell.
Yeah. Came with one of those, like a 3RU server. And it came with a G5 Xserve, Apple Xserve.
Nice.
I was going to use the Apple Xserve for the PF Sense, but apparently nobody's figured out how to port it across yet. So
can you put High Sierra on that?
I haven't looked into what I can do with it yet. I really want to use it because it's got dual gigabit cards.
Nice.
So it would be perfect for something to do with that. But
file serving and stuff.
Yeah, file serving maybe. I know that it will run a lot of the programs I want to use to run my home automation software, so I may end up using it for that.
Might even run Drew Powell.
Probably not. It's got no. Maybe.
Yeah, the Apple G5 would have Apache be able to run on there and PHP and.
Yeah, but it's got no video
SQL.
card.
Yeah, it can just run headless.
Run headless,
web server. Yeah.
What do you want to run a web server for? That's what you pay people to do.
Because you don't have to pay people. Eagle-eyed sleuths have made the discovery of a secret bidden deep within the computer code of the Nintendo Switch. And its purpose is pretty great. Did you know there's a secret buried deep within the computer code of your Nintendo Switch? Allegedly hidden inside the console is an emulator, which will allow gamers to play titles first released on the NES in the 1980s. Nintendo has previously released a retro console for the purpose of playing its landmark games, but it quickly sold out of
And
stock.
re-release, mind you.
And re-release. So now it seems Switch owners will not have to purchase a secondary console to play Super Mario Bros., Donkey Kong, and other fan favourites. The secret emulator was first discovered when a hacker stumbled across a game called Flog, F-L-O-G, hidden in the Switch's code. As the game looks like a 1984 Nintendo Golf title, hype is growing that this is the first glimpse of the fabled NES emulator. Hacker Yellows 8 believes the feature has been hidden inside the system since version 1.0 of its firmware, but can only be accessed using unofficial methods. Even more impressive than the discovery of the game itself was the fact that Yellow S8 was able to prove the emulator can support the Switch's Joy-Con motion controls. How cool's that?
But does it have the games, or is it just an emulator?
Well, it's an emulator, so I guess they're speculating you'll be able to download it from the Nintendo Game Shop. All the old stuff.
You see, they've released the mini NES thing, but they've also re-released the original.
Yep. We're going to get a PlayStation 4 next week, so...
I just use my Raspberry Pi. I do have the... Look, I've got the first release of the mini Nintendo Entertainment.
Yep.
I've played it exactly once for 15 minutes, and the main reason I only played it for that long, the damn cable is 2 foot long on the controller.
Oh, no. So you have to stand right up in front of your 40-inch TV.
You can have a 4-meter extension HDMI, but the thing's still powered by USB. So you can't find a 5-meter USB cable that's long enough to power it and a 5-meter HDMI cable, because then you've got 2 cables running from the back of the TV to a console that you need to put up on something because you can't put on the floor because the cord is still too short.
Yeah.
It's the worst design ever. I'm kind of annoyed that I spent the money on buying it, actually. I mean, someone bought it for me for my birthday or Christmas, whatever it was, but kind of wish you hadn't now, because it's one of those things that...
Yeah, you don't know.
I know I could buy an extension for the cable, for the controller lead, but why should I have to?
Yeah.
Like,
they'd need to think.
It shouldn't be a thing.
Who's going to stand in front of their 50-inch TV playing Nintendo game like this? You want to sit on the couch.
And if I want to build a dedicated system, well, I've already built it out of my Raspberry Pi or something anyway. So, like, I don't... As much as it's great and nostalgic and fun, and I understand where they're coming from and understand the hype around it.
Yep.
Seriously? Like, for the sake of a couple of extra cents on a cord, it's not like they weren't making a fortune on a piece of plastic with a little bit of a hardware modulation chip and emulation chip inside it anyway.
Exactly.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is when the re-release comes out, don't bother buying it.
Yeah.
If you want to buy one, I'll sell you mine. I'll sell it to you for half the price it cost me.
There you go.
Hit me up if you
buy
want
a new Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, well, that's what I'll do with the money. I'll buy the new Raspberry Pi. Yeah. As soon as my old one's somewhere.
It's you got it under the corner of that rack over there to keep it level.
Last I checked, it had
Bitcoins on it. Hooray! You found it.
Yeah, I wish. So
you could pay off your house tomorrow if you did that.
Oh yeah, I did the maths on that the other day. I'll tell you what, so spewing I lost it. I had I had like $50 in Bitcoins not long after they became publicly available.
Yep.
Which is something like $5 million or something now.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you lose your wallet, kids.
Tis better to have loved and lost it.
Yeah, whoever said that has done neither.
Have bought Bitcoin and then lost it. Today, a deal finally happens, but Google didn't buy HTC outright. Strangely, as the deal is laid out, the search giant has seemingly bought HTC employees. Yes, for $1.1 billion, the search giant has sort of purchased human beings, plus it gets access to some intellectual property. HTC gets a much-needed big influx of cash, because HTC, as we know, was dying. Wow. Google and HTC Corporation today announced a definitive agreement under which certain HTC employees, many of whom are already working with Google to develop Pixel smartphones, will join Google. HTC will receive $1.1 billion in cash from Google as part of the transaction. Separately, Google will receive a non-exclusive license for HTC intellectual property. The agreement is a testament to the decade-long strategic relationship between HTC and Google around the development of premium smartphones.
They must have lifted the couch cushions for that sort of money.
Right?
HTC is actually, some of their department, like their phone department, struggling.
Yep.
But things like their HTC Vive is going gangbusters, and I think that's the sort of technology that Google's chasing.
Yeah.
That side of it rather than the smartphone. And having said that, the Pixel just got a massive cash boost as well. So they're spending heaps of money on the new version of that's coming out.
Yeah. So Google has gone from having not much to do with VR to basically owning the Vive, and now
look, I think, and I don't think it.
And I invested in a free Samsung Gear VR.
Yeah, have you used it yet?
Yeah, I used it for the first month.
Yeah, used it once in the first month.
They had some good stuff on there, but
I got Google Cardboard, which is good enough. I don't mind. I mean, for the amount I use it, Google Cardboard's fine. If I was to invest in something, I'd probably invest in the Oculus Rift just because it's an open platform and there's more stuff available for it at this stage.
Yeah, I'm getting the PlayStation 4, but the PlayStation 4 VR is like another $600 or $800 or something on top.
And you might as well get a bloody Oculus Rift or a HTC Vive, which is much more supported than the PlayStation one. So, I mean, the Vive really is top of the range in terms of what it does. Like its sensors and capture ability is amazing. What it can do.
Yeah.
You basically stand in a room like a 5 by 5 meter room. You stand in the middle of it, put the sensors around the side of it, and it knows what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's far above and beyond in that regard. But I think the Oculus Rift is a pretty decent little unit as well.
Cool. You got any more stories?
Yeah, a couple. Suppose we probably should talk about the CC cleaner. Now,
or as it first came out, it was known as crap cleaner, but I guess that name was a bit
well, that's
too much
because it removed crapware, which is what the industry people called bloatware.
Yeah,
we called it crapware in the industry because that's effectively what it was. And CC cleaner removed crapware. It was crapware cleaner.
Yeah.
And then they just dropped the crap, and now they dropped the wrap, and now it's just a C cleaner. Yeah. Before I read the story, I need to sort of say something. CC Cleaner is not an antivirus.
Yeah,
and
I
so
saw that somebody on Facebook is like, that used to be a great antivirus. No,
it's not an antivirus. It's never been an antivirus. It's not pretending to be an antivirus, and that will put this story to make a little bit more sense when you realize that it hasn't sort of breached its own protocol because it's not an antivirus. Yep. It's a malware cleaner, it's a registry cleaner, it's a cookie cleaner, it's a temp file cleaner. You've basically got Spybot Search and Destroy, you've got CC Cleaner, and you've got Adaware. Yep. Are the three big names in...
And they've been around forever.
They've been around forever. They're the three go-to applications when you're trying to remove crap off your system, whether it be a virus, whether it be a malware, whether it be whatever. True. They're the three files. If they can't do it, most likely can't be done.
Yep.
So basically, according to a security team at Cisco, who I thought they were going away, but again, here they are, was one of many companies the hackers attempted to compromise Microsoft, Samsung, HTC, Sony, Intel. The CC Cleaner breach, disclosed earlier this week, involved cyber attackers modifying legitimate versions of the software to contain malware. It's estimated the tainted version of popular Android and Windows PC Cleaner has been downloaded 2.2 million times, or by 3% of total users, before they caught it. Ironically, and this is sort of where the story takes a bit of a twist, Periform, who made CC Cleaner originally, got purchased by Avast. Now, Avast effectively is... Avast and AVG basically are the two top-tier free antivirus.
Brilliant software.
They win all the awards. They're cheap. They're they're free. They're lightweight. They're fast. They're reliable.
And you can pay them if you want to. If you think
they do have paid versions, which include firewalls and email scanners and other bits and pieces.
ID protection.
Now, this attack happened... Avast thinks it was actually an attack on them because this attack happened before the buyout was completed. The affected version is 5.33.6162, which is released on the 15th of August. And if you're updating your software like you're supposed to, this has since been corrected. It was also only on the 32-bit version. It wasn't on the 64-bit version. So most newer systems won't be affected because most newer systems are all 64-bit. And yeah, it went undetected, ironically, by Avast because it was written into the part of the code that sort of saw CC Clean and Avast working together. So I don't know. It does say that they had specially targeted attack. Well, they don't really say that, at least not in this story that I'm reading, and I haven't really been able to find it. It says that there was code that enabled the CC server to communicate between affected PCs and the threat and potentially infect other PCs that it could find that were running the same version. The only thing I couldn't actually find is what it did. It just said that it was a self-replicating sort of virus and it would go through the back doors of CC Cleaner and sort of self-replicate. But the articles say there's no damage has been detected as yet. So they don't actually know, at least, or they haven't really, I'm sure they know, they haven't released what it was going to happen. They have said, though, it was, from the way it looks, it was designed to target high-profile targets such as businesses and security firms and things like that, and not really affect single users.
Yeah.
So it looks like it was obviously a targeted attack. It was that basically to say, you know, hey, sucked in, you've got a virus and you just bought an antivirus. But that's not completely true. So obviously it's fixed by now anyway, and it's not that much of a big deal. But
make sure you just update to the latest version.
Make sure you update it. But yeah, be aware that CC Clean is not a virus scanner. This whole thing comes back to like certain high-profile tech people in other countries would say that the only good virus scanner is the Windows Defender platform, which, according to Windows, is actually not to be used as your primary virus scanner. They actually have come out and said that. It is to be used in conjunction with something else. And you don't need to pay, despite what other high-profile tech media personnel say, you don't need to pay to have a good quality virus scanner, such as McAfee or Norton or NOD or any of those. Things like AVG, Avast, Panda, and there's a couple others, work perfectly fine. They're free for the virus scanning part. You can support them if you want. You do get more features.
But when they're that Russian one that everyone says is very naughty.
But when they're used in conjunction with things like CC Cleaner and Spybot and things like Adaware, they're as powerful, if not more powerful, than a paid version of any of those anyway.
Yep. So
be smart, keep your virus. Look, I'm not one for updating my system. I'm a shocker because it usually comes at the worst time. I do it later, and my work computer hasn't been updated since I installed it like 2 years ago. But I always keep things like my antivirus up to date because that's not that I, being a savvy user and anybody who's been around computers for a few years generally is pretty good at
emails.
Links on emails, or just even clicking on emails in general that look random, or malicious websites, like funky looking websites, which is actually, the whole website thing now is getting harder and harder because traditionally, if it didn't end in .com or .net or .edu or .gov, you could basically say, hey, it's a spam or a fake website. But these days, with basically choose your own adventure.
WTF.
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually really, really hard now. From a sysadmin point of view, like at work, we get emails from funky email addresses that get flagged as spam, but they're not. They're perfectly legit. It's just that these really obscure email addresses now, because you can customize what you want it to say.
Yep.
And so from an admin management point of view,
It's a pain.
it's really bad. It's horrendous. And even sending emails, you've got to add exceptions because it doesn't recognize them as valid email addresses that you're trying to send to. It's so bad. But yeah, just be smart about it, and viruses should never be an issue on your system.
Should we end with a funny story?
We usually do.
All right. Who's a clever boy? Buddy the parrot is. The African grey managed to place an order online using an Amazon Echo smart speaker. Buddy the parrot showed he's a clever boy by mimicking his owner to go shopping via Amazon's Alexa voice control system. Don't say it. You just activated someone's device.
Alexia.
That's the key word.
Hello, Google.
Shocked owner Corinne Pretrios could not work out how she had requested a $16 set of gift boxes until she realised her African grey had bought them. The 5-year-old pet had impersonated one of her conversations and placed the order while she was out. Buddy activated her $250 Amazon Echo smart speaker, which connects to the internet shopping giant's artificial intelligence hub. Users can bark commands at it to control heating, order takeaway, or access a host of other services. It responds to the name of Alexa, and hilarious footage filmed by South African-born Corinne shows Buddy squawking it in her voice. The bird adds in the film, hang on, Alexa, as Buddy shrieks at the top of the device. The shelf next to his cage can be seen lighting up blue, showing just how the shopping order was made. Corinne, 39, of Greenwich, South East London, had ruled out civil engineer husband Jan, 45, and son Jaden, 8, before she worked out who was responsible for the order. She said, I couldn't believe it when I realised Buddy had made an Amazon order. We've had the device for 4 months and I use it to play music or to make to-do lists, but I've never ordered anything online. Somebody has, because the bird just doesn't come up with order
Amazon
this.
Prime doesn't just automatically activate itself.
It's heard somebody ordering something, but that's hilarious. They need some sort of security code or something to be in there instead of, hey, you, buy this now. Okay. Hey, you, buy this now. Okay. You sit there, the bird is bored for a week because you've gone on holidays and you got someone just feeding it every now and then. So it sits there, hey, order this, hey, order this, hey, order this. You come home and your front veranda is full of toilet paper.
I know with the Google one, it does have options, like with the Google Wallet, it does have options for locking that with a password. So I would imagine there'd be something in place. It's possibly just not set up properly. I haven't played with Alexia much.
Yeah, usually it's the only one that orders stuff. The Apple one and the Google one and other devices don't order things online because they don't have a shopping network.
They'd probably tie into it, but the Alexia one, well, you'd think though, because I know with the Google one as well, you can set it to respond only to certain voices.
No, it responds to anybody in the house. So if you have guests over, they could go, hey, order 5,000 toilet paper rolls.
I see a design fault.
Yeah, right? That's why these devices don't unlock when my daughter sits there yelling at it. It knows your voice and it can pick up your pitch and everything.
Speaking of Amazon's getting very, very close to launching in Australia.
Hooray!
And it looks it's going to be interesting.
We'll be able to get one of those little round hockey puck devices and yell at it to order toilet paper from the bathroom.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Guess what I actually did the other day?
You can do that with your Raspberry Pi. They've got a Alexia application.
It's not as good though. It's really laggy because it's got to go through
Google Translate.
It runs through a voice server, it uses sort of a voice protocol, but then it converts that to text, and then it actually basically Googles that text, and then it transfers it back. So it's like a 4-stage hop. So it's quite late. It still works relatively decent, but given that it's not a native program. So, but
well, should we wrap things up?
There's only one quickly I want to touch on is that QUT has just manufactured Australia's first lithium-ion batteries.
Nice.
It's a special facility built, obviously, at Benyo, which is north side of Brisbane.
Yep.
It's got low humidity electro manufacturing dry rooms, which is the first for Australia, which is critical for making the lithium batteries. They don't really go into too much detail here on what lithium stuff they're going to be using. Theoretically, it should be relatively cheap because we have one of the largest lithium production or mining facilities in the world.
Yeah.
And we export all of it. So it should be interesting.
Can we keep a little bit here and also some of our gas, please?
Yeah, and a bit of coal.
Tasty
coal. Just for winter, so you can
save you for the future.
Just put it in your stocking.
You just stick it on top of your iPhone X.
Power it.
Yeah.
Someone needs to make like an old gasifier power station. So, but yeah, I just thought that's interesting. That there'll be more details, I'm sure, once this story gets some traction. But it's just interesting that something that's basically been made 95% of in China, except for like Samsung and Panasonic and Sony cells, which Samsung cells are now coming out of the Gigafactory from Tesla anyway.
Yep.
Then yeah, it'll be interesting if Australia has any sort of foot in the door at all with this.
That'd be great. We need
with this facility.
We need to produce something ourselves instead of just digging everything up and sending it overseas.
No, we don't. Yeah. That's how we make money. We let other countries do it for us cheaper than we can do it, and then we buy it back off them and sell it for twice as much.
Yes, we'll buy it back at twice, so 4 times the price once you've purified it and everything. Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads Show, broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. You can email us, Glenn, Will, Warlock, Eric at aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com. 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand.
Like that Apple one we were talking about earlier.
Yes, Aussie Back Zone. Go listen to it. You'll hear everything you want to know about the iPhone and the 8 and the 8 Plus. 8 Plus. We'll see you again next week. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.